welcome back to Offside Opinions. This is episode 7. I'm Ashrini Otia.
And I'm Levi Nah.
And we'll jump right in with a recap of not last week, but week 16. Now, before we jump in, I do want to say two things. I hope you all had a great Christmas. And also, we didn't really post last week. Levi was out of town. I was busy doing other things. But for week 16, we're only going to be doing the big matchups, the ones that had like the playoff bound / contending teams. So if you were a Jags, Titans fan, or like a Raiders fan, you might not be in here. We're sorry, but at the same time, like, your organization's a dumpster fire, no offense, so I don't think you should care that much. But yeah, we'll jump right in with Broncos-Chargers from 2 weeks ago.
So Broncos-Chargers score was 34-27. So both teams look strong playoff teams for sure, but Bo Nix is definitely going to struggle to get those chunk plays, those deep passes going. That's the main reason they lost that game. So, their playoff picture is a little bit questionable at this point, but they're probably still going to make the playoffs. That's just probably what's going to keep them going past round one.
Yeah, here's why they're going to make the playoffs. Unless Carson Wentz has a legacy game, the Chiefs are probably going to rest most of their starters. Mm-hmm. They for sure don't want the Bengals to get in, I'm guessing, the Chiefs. Yeah. And the Dolphins, they're not scared of the Dolphins, but at the same time, they're like, why? It's just like, you're going to come play us, or if, let's say, the Dolphins play any team in the AFC, it's probably going to be cold. So you're probably going to be a first-round exit either way. Mm-hmm. At least the Broncos have a legitimate shot of getting anywhere past the first round because of that defense. And really, the Broncos just have to be able to get, like he was saying, those chunk plays, but also some of the play calling at times is questionable.
Yeah, definitely.
More on that week 17.
Yeah.
Chargers. Justin Herbert threw a pick, and then after that, the Chargers literally did not punt for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It was like he just bounced back, and that's the best thing about him is you can put him down, he'll bounce right back, and with that, the good thing is in the playoffs, you don't have to worry about him. You just have to worry about, will the rest of my team actually perform? Yeah. And I think Harbaugh will make him perform.
Yeah, probably. Because, even with J.K. Dobbins out, Gus Edwards looked fantastic in that game.
Yeah, the O-line, like Joe Alt and crew over there, has been playing really well.
Yeah. Texans
lost to the Chiefs.
So, Texans, the collapse continues. That's pretty much all that happened with them. They're probably going to make the playoffs still. I think clinched, right?
They've clinched because their division is just
a terrible division. But they're obviously not making it past first round.
Yeah, look, prayers for Tank Dell. All right, mm-hmm. I really hope his knee gets fixed.
Yeah,
and I hope he's able to continue playing football. But C.J. Stroud is not playing well. The Texans do not look like a playoff team. There's still some question marks on the defensive end of things. And really, at the end of the day, I'm wondering, can they really be safe, like you were saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you added Joe Mixon over the offseason. That was great. But it was like a few good weeks, and then from there, it was just pew.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with the Texans. For the Chiefs, though, another one-score win. It was an 8-point win, but 8 points is technically just a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion. So it's technically still one score win. Are they going to prove ever that they can beat any team by more than one score? And keep in mind, this is not considering week 17.
Yeah, more than that week 17.
Yeah, this is strictly considering week 16.
Yeah.
And if we had done a podcast last week, how would week 16 have been like? The Steelers lost to the Ravens.
So the Ravens finally proved that they can beat a good defense and effectively run the ball against a good defense. For the Steelers, their offensive struggles continued, and honestly, I think the main, their pass game wasn't horrible. The main problem was surprisingly the run game. Going into the season, I didn't expect much from it, but Najee Harris has done a pretty good job most of the season. But this game showed his age for sure. That was a big problem. Also, the D-line's got to learn to lock down some better run games.
Hold on, I'm just searching Najee Harris's age. I'm just curious. Doesn't say age. He is 26.
Yeah.
So he's not incredibly old, but he's also not like incredibly young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's had another 1,000-yard season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the good thing about him is that even in years where people have been like, oh, he's not playing well, he's getting 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's looking like WrestleMania is slowly fading away.
Yeah.
It's not looking too good for the Steelers right now. For the Ravens, you know, you already mentioned this slightly, but Derrick Henry popped off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this point, the AFC North is in the bag. Playoffs are definitely in the bag.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't put it past them to get to the AFC Championship game.
If not the Super Bowl, I mean, I hate putting the Ravens this high in my rankings, but
it's possible.
they're looking pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
The Giants lost to the Falcons. So,
Yeah.
Giants, nobody cares about you.
Not really gonna
Falcons, they're just a step closer to the NFC South title. Moving on. Bears, Lions.
I expected this to be a bigger blowout than it was, but still the Bears are a disaster, so I'm not even really, there's nothing really to say about them except that, yeah, continuing to look bad.
Yeah.
The Lions, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs proved that he can step up and fill David Montgomery's shoes for sure, and Jared Goff managed to put out a really good game against, you know, I expected them to just rest some players in this game. No, they went hard hitting and really dominated the Bears defense.
So the Bears, Caleb Williams, I think, has been sacked around, 59 times, 58 times, in the 50s somewhere, about which 45% I think is his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting way too long in the pocket.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I just feel like if he either A, manages to create more time, which leads to abysmal stuff, or if the O-line protects it for like half a second longer, I feel like they might be fine. But, yeah, it's clear they need some changes.
Mm.
For the Lions, they just seem to want to play Week 18 for all the marbles against the Vikings. Jets lost to the Rams. So, for the Rams, defense comes up big.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense needs to start waking up. I know.
Definitely.
It's like the week that we played the 49ers, we won, but it was shaky performance. This week, we held the Jets to under 10, just like we did the 49ers. We held them under 10, single digits.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense is just not clicking until like the fourth quarter here. And it was scary for like the first three quarters. But now
Same story week 17 too.
Yeah, but now they're a step closer to the NFC West title at least.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have anything to say about the Jets. They're just terrible.
Yeah, more on that week 17.
Yeah.
Eagles lose to the Commanders.
A pretty important win for the Commanders, but also an expected one given Jalen Hurts wasn't playing. We'll see whether he's fully recovered for the playoffs. But yeah, like I said, a big win for the Commanders. They continue to prove that they can play well against good defenses, pass defenses especially. I didn't expect Jaden Daniels to put up such a big performance in this game. So looking continually strong for the playoffs.
Yeah, the Commanders, they basically need a W now at this point to get to the playoffs, to clinch the playoffs, I should say. It's been a great rebuild year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, how much do you think this is going to impact their playoff chances?
Well, I mean, I think they're doing a good thing keeping Jalen Hurts out of the action, but I don't know. I really felt like they were maybe even a Super Bowl team a couple weeks ago, but Jalen Hurts' injury definitely changes things. So I guess really we just have to see how he looks week one, but I could totally see him going out week one again.
Oh, you mean playoff week one?
Yeah, playoff week one.
That's fine. Yeah, I agree, but also I feel like if Jalen Hurts, the Eagles deem him to be enough, like, recovered, then he should play week 18 for sure. That's just to, even if he plays only like 2-3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just to like get him back into the flow of the game. That way when it comes to playoff time in the next week, they're ready and they can just hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns lost to the Bengals.
So the Browns, benching Jameis Winston, obviously their season was over. So, I was not surprised they only put up 6 points. But I expected a bit more from their defense. But also, the Bengals offense has been continually peaking throughout the season at the right time. They waited till the right time to peak. Joe Burrow now looks like in MVP conversations for sure, if not a lock to win MVP.
He was my lock to win MVP. I said it a few weeks ago when we were talking about like who's going to win the awards. At that time, I was like, oh yeah, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are leading it, but Joe Burrow is like an outlier. Mm-hmm. Here, Joe Burrow deserves it. Mm-hmm. I don't care if he doesn't make the playoffs or if he does. He has the best stats of all the quarterbacks, except in interceptions. He's thrown like 2 or 3 more interceptions than I think Allen and Lamar have. But he has the most yards. He's, I think, on pace to have a 5,000-yard season. If he gets like 250 more or 300 more, whatever it was, highly possible.
Yeah.
He has the most touchdowns. I think he has 46, something like that. He's in that 40 range, higher than Lamar and Allen.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the rush stats. But quarterbacks have never really been about rushing, so I don't really know why that matters. But while people are like, oh yeah, Lamar leads Allen in every statistic, Burrow leads both of them in basically every statistic.
Yeah.
Except for QBR, which, I mean, you can argue QBR is a big part of it, but like, would you rather the guy put up stats or the guy put up a good QBR?
Yeah. That should not be the deciding factor.
Yeah. So, yeah. And again, to piggyback what he said for the Browns, no Jameis equals no wins. Mm-hmm. No Jameis equals no fantasy points for Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
No Jameis equals no fun and no memes. So it's a lose-lose scenario for everybody, including the Browns organization. Seahawks lost to the Vikings.
So the Seahawks made it a close one for sure, but the Vikings defense came in clutch when we needed them, pulling off that last interception. And that's what I see getting us through the playoffs is, you know, even if our secondary is not the best and we let up some big points in the first couple of quarters, getting turnovers at the end of the game like that is what wins football games. And they saved that one for us. Sam Darnold looked amazing again. Vikings are clicking in every way except, the pass defense, I guess. So the Seahawks, they played okay, but Geno Smith has continued to turn it over repeatedly, so I think he needs to go next year.
Yeah, the Seahawks, they now need the Rams to flop. Like a few weeks ago, the Seahawks percentage to make the playoffs was like 70.
Yeah.
Now it's at like 0. So, yeah, it's not looking good for the Seahawks at all. Geno might need to go, yes. I think first, maybe you fix up a bit of the wide receiver issues just because it's like JSN produces at a high level and then DK and Tyler Lockett are just like
taking all the money and not doing much.
Yeah, like not doing much. So I don't know if you want to fix that.
Yeah.
But if you decide to go away from Geno, I think you try to trade Geno somewhere, get a higher draft pick, get, top 10 draft pick. That way you actually have a shot.
Yeah.
For the Vikings, Sam Darnold looks good. He might get a contract next year from the Vikings. If that happens, what do you do with J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah, and all our other quarterbacks too. We have a lot of quarterbacks right now. I think 5. So we have way too many quarterbacks. I think, Daniel Jones is decent to keep on the practice squad, but yeah, I think we need to trade away J.J. McCarthy. I never liked him as a draft pick. So, why do we even need him? He's coming off a torn meniscus.
I wrote something. Geno Smith for J.J. McCarthy?
If you're saying as a backup, I kind of like Nick Mullins as a backup. He can make big plays when we need him occasionally, but, we don't need an insane level backup. Geno's really, really good as a backup. I don't think we need Geno Smith.
Yeah, the Vikings will figure something out.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the same as the Lions. Week 18 for all the marbles.
Yeah.
The Pats lost to the Bills.
They made it a lot closer than I thought, for sure. The Bills' defense has kind of been mid all year, but yeah, so Drake May continues to look amazing, but at the same time, his team is a disaster. Ramondre Stevenson is terrible. First half of the season, I thought, okay, maybe he's mid enough to keep him around next season. He's horrible. Get rid of him and definitely get some wide receivers so that Drake May has something to work with. But it's clear you have a real star in Drake May.
Yeah. The Bills can win in kind of any condition. It kind of showed here.
Yeah.
Even if Allen has 150 yards, a TD interception, it didn't matter because it was the Patriots after all. Mm-hmm. But 24-27 is not a final score you want to see for a Patriots-Bills game.
Yeah.
Especially when you think the Bills are going to make at least the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Or so people think. Depends on if they play the Chiefs or not.
Yeah.
49ers lost to the Dolphins.
So the Dolphins, I mean, they won, yeah, but it's also a very wounded 49ers team. And, you know, they're theoretically still in playoff contention, but like I said earlier, I don't really see them making the playoffs.
Yeah, they kind of just need the Broncos to flop.
Yeah.
And if the Chiefs decide to have a Carson Wentz legacy game, then yes, that would happen. But I don't really see the Dolphins making the playoffs and winning out. For the 49ers, they were eliminated. They're out.
Yeah.
It's over, but can they end the season kind of strong, I guess?
Yeah.
Or do you just want to just take the draft pick, whatever you have, and just move with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think you just lose the last game, get the best draft pick you can, because I think they need new players in most positions at this point. They might keep Brandon Ayuk around, maybe, but I think Brock Purdy probably needs to go. They need a new running back because Isaiah Grando is terrible, and Christian McCaffrey's career is probably over.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I think it's Isaac Grando, by the way.
Oh, wait, yeah, Isaac Grando.
Grando's not terrible. You give that O-line to anybody, I don't think anybody's going to be terrible.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're just injured right now. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But Brock Purdy, I disagree with you on that one. I think he stays. And he's a franchise quarterback so long as you give him good pieces around. To work with.
Yeah, I guess.
Right now, he's been targeting Kittle a lot because Kittle's his number one, basically option. Mm-hmm. Debo Samuel's washed after all, so that only makes sense. But we've seen what happened when George Kittle, it's just kind of like the Travis Kelce for Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. He's having a career year, so is Purdy way. But yeah, it's over. Bucks lost to the Cowboys.
That was a surprising loss, but it happens when they don't involve Mike Evans as much as they did. It shows. We'll get to this in Week 17, but when Mike Evans gets really involved, that offense goes to the next level. But he did not have a whole lot of production against the Cowboys, and I think that was largely the reason they lost. The run game was kind of slow as well. Overall, not the best offensive showing.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is still on pace for his whatever it is, 11th, 12,000 yard season.
I think it's 11th.
11,000 yard season, which is absurd to say the least. But yeah, the Bucs really just need the Falcons to do what the Falcons do best, flopping key moments.
Which probably will happen.
Cough, cough, 28-3. Yeah. Saints lost to the Packers.
So first blowout of the season in a game that I expected it to be in, given how bad the Saints have gone downhill. The only non-injured player left on their offense that's even half decent is Foster Moreau, and he's kind of mid for a tight end. So they're just collapsing right now. The Packers, big win for sure, but we'll get to this Week 17. Maybe not that good of a team.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is still strong.
For sure, yeah.
That's one thing I'll give to them is that they know how to make a defense be really good. Offense, another story. It's they don't have a true wide receiver one. It's some weeks it's Jane Reed, sometimes it's Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, Week 17 it was all Romeo Doubs.
And then there's hints of Tucker Kraft in there at times, hints of Josh Jacobs. And
maybe
it's just
Christian Watson.
Yeah, it's it's just kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
They're all really good wide receiver twos, but who's your true wide receiver one? You don't have one. So I think that's their target is just get a wide receiver one really. Give Jordan Love somebody who's the best that he can throw to, and I think the Packers will be just fine after that. Now we're going to go to Week 17, the games that just happened.
Yeah.
So first off, Steelers lost to the Chiefs Christmas Day.
Yeah. So Steelers, another really ugly showing. I think this was even worse than their game against the Ravens. Russell Wilson. This was probably, unless you're counting early weeks, this was probably his worst game yet with the Steelers.
Yeah. WrestleMania is officially over.
Yeah. After this week, they might go past week 1 just because of their defense, but they're definitely not AFC Championship contenders anymore.
Yeah, I had them going to at least division, maybe AFC Championship. I don't even think they're going to get past the wild card like you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's more Russell Wilson's fault that the Chiefs managed to win by 2 scores for once, but good win for the Chiefs, I guess.
19 points is 3 scores.
No, I said more than 1 score.
Oh, I thought you said more than 2. No, I thought you said okay. Yeah, he's right. The Chiefs, they finally blew out an opponent. At least that happened.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do they rest their starters? I know Andy Reid wants it, but is it smart? I mean, 24 days of rest, really?
Yeah, because they've clinched the 1 seed. I think, they play enough in week 18 that they stay comfortable. But yeah, 2 weeks of rest and then going into the playoffs round 2 just like that. That's a risky move. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like, I would say don't do that. But like at the same time, only have your stars play like 2 quarters.
Yeah, and also at the same time, their stars are really experienced, so I don't know that 2 weeks off changes a whole lot. We'll see.
It's just like, do you get enough practice days to like be fine? Texans lost to the Ravens.
What a blowout! The Texans only scored a safety. Yeah, yeah, the score says it all. The Texans are a train wreck. It's over.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud is not good.
Yeah.
This game, 185 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
What was it, 2 interceptions or 1?
I think might have been 1, but still terrible.
Yeah, it's still not a good game. The defense got hammered and battered just because of how much they were on the field.
Yeah.
They still managed to get Derrick Henry for a safety, which is impressive because, Derrick Henry is
not easy to tackle.
Yeah. But yeah, it was not a good game, and they're probably not going to make it past wild card round.
Yep.
For the Ravens, they did everything right, minus a safety, but it's fine. It's just a safety. This kind of game is what I think is going to help them really get to that AFC Championship.
Yeah.
The Bears lost to the Seahawks.
I mean, it's hard to say it any other way than this. Both teams lost this game. It was like the Vikings Raiders last year was 3-0. I mean, both of these teams are just disasters. Both of these teams came into the season with strong receiver cores and promising quarterbacks and have just fallen to pieces. Both of these teams need big-time rebuilds / working on their quarterbacks.
Petition to change TNF to just punt bowl.
They've gotten so many bad games this year.
The past 3-4 weeks has just been punts back and forth, and the score just being drastically smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yep.
One of these days we're gonna get a 0-2 tie. 0-2, just one safety. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Seahawks, not exactly what you're expecting from a playoff contender. Does it matter? No. Why? Because it's going to be found out later. Why not?
Yep.
Patriots lost to the Chargers.
Coming off of having such a close game with the Bills, I kind of expected more from the Patriots, but you see him playing a defense that's not as mediocre as the Bills defense. Some problems start happening. Ramondre Stevens had exactly 1 yard. So, yeah, Chargers have an amazing defense. Patriots need a major rebuild on the offense.
Yeah. Drake May's banged up a little. He's fine, thankfully, but he went out for the game for a little bit. I think he was a concussion protocol, etc. thing. But the need to draft wide receivers and tight ends is drastically increasing. If 4 weeks ago it was at 50%, now it's at 150%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Drake May is your future quarterback, but it's he's being sabotaged.
Yeah.
For the Chargers, Ladd McConkey is that guy. The defense is also that guy.
Yeah.
They look poised for a pretty deep playoff run.
Yeah.
It's just, at this point, can that offense kind of just manage to stay healthy-ish? Because I know J.K. Dobbins, he's returning from the MCL injury.
Oh, he is?
Yes. I think a few weeks
good.
ago I said that he was done for the season. I was wrong on that. This game proved me wrong. But yeah, it's fairly obvious that they need to just be consistent while the Patriots need a crap ton of help.
Yeah.
Broncos lose to Bengals.
So, I mean, it was another close game, but yet again, the Broncos, they did something at least, but they haven't really shown much big play threat. And this was not that good of a defense. The Bengals defense, one of the worst in the leagues. So, and the Broncos defense also kind of sold them against a very powerful Bengals offense. So, Joe Burrow continuing to make his case for the MVP, big win.
Yeah. Sean Payton might have the worst play calls of all time in crunch moments.
Yeah.
With the Broncos. Like, this was atrocious play calling at times. And even for the Bengals, Zach Taylor has atrocious clock management.
Yeah.
Like, for one, this game should have never gone to overtime. Mm-hmm. It should have been the Bengals win by a field goal, and they just kind of take out the time. But it makes sense. You go to overtime, you get to field goal range, Cade York takes a field goal, and he doinks it off the left iron.
Yeah.
I guess it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But, yeah, this is not the game I was expecting from either team, really, actually. There were plenty of screw-ups in this, but the big one with Sean Payton is just atrocious play calls.
Yeah.
But Bo Nix, I'll give him this. He has a great arm. That was, a 67-yard dime to not Marvin. Who was it?
Oh yeah, I remember that play.
I forget who was on the receiving end of that. But it was one heck of a throw.
Yeah.
And then even that throw where he got it to Marvin Mims to force overtime, that was also a phenomenal throw. So, yeah, I'm going to give Bo Nix his flowers. He played pretty clutch when it mattered. Mm-hmm. It's just, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they need to win fast to punch their ticket. Otherwise, if they lose, the Bengals, I think, are going to come for that.
Yeah, they're going to steal that playoff spot if they're not careful.
And the Dolphins, I don't know who they play, but
I think it's the Jets. Yeah, the Jets.
I'm sure for the Jets.
But also, is Tua going to play? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah. So, Cardinals-Rams. Another disappointing game from the Rams. I mean,
a win's a win, no matter the means necessary.
Yeah, that's fair, but also, come on, man. I expected a lot more from Matt Stafford against a kind of mediocre Cardinals defense.
Hey, give Buda Baker his flowers. Come on now.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Cardinals, they involved MHJ, and they involved McBride. Finally, McBride got a touchdown.
Finally.
I'm sad against the Rams, but thankfully he got a touchdown.
Yeah.
But that's literally all they did apart from a field goal. So, is Kyler Murray going to ever be turnover-less? He had 300 yards.
I know, he had a good game. It's just key turnovers.
2 interceptions.
Yeah.
And one of which, it bounced off McBride's helmet.
Yeah.
I forget who caught it, but yeah, we caught it. Now for the Rams. We've punched our ticket thanks to the Bengals, Commanders, Vikings, and Bills winning. Yeah, that's called strength of victory. We got in last year using the same thing, actually. We screwed the Seahawks twice in a row. But, yeah, it was stressful watching the Sunday games, knowing that we just needed 3 wins from 3 teams that could win, and then watching 2 of the games go to overtime.
Yeah,
but
no kidding.
Yeah. Colts lost to the Giants.
Man, I mean, what are you doing, Colts? This was your chance to make the playoffs against the Giants on their 3rd-string quarterback. How do you sell that?
Drew Lock.
What in the world? I mean, that was just ridiculous. But yeah, give Drew Lock his flowers. He played amazing. Good win, Giants. I guess you really screwed the Colts over with that one. It did nothing for your team, but yeah, in your face, Colts.
You screwed the Colts and yourself. Something that you're an expert at, actually, is screwing yourself. Wow, actually.
Yeah. Shouldn't you be tanking for a draft pick right now?
Yeah, they saw Shadir Sanders and his Giants custom cleats, and they were like, no. That's not what you wanted. That's what you got. And now just draft Quinn Ewers, I guess.
Yep.
The season's over for the Colts. What do they need to do next year to be a playoff team?
Well, I'd say get rid of Anthony Richardson. He needs to go to a backup position, I think, or go with a team like the 49ers who have, the overpowered offense he needs. He needs to definitely work on turnovers and accuracy. I don't know how much he can change with that. He's got a good arm, but I don't know if he's good enough to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think the teams that have, you look at Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, okay? Mm-hmm. Both of them, Sam Darnold especially, were not good. But, they went to the Panthers, both of them on the same team. Then they went to NFC West teams, Rams and 49ers.
Yeah.
Then from there, they went to the Vikings and the Bucks. Baker with the Bucks, phenomenal. Darnold with the Vikings, phenomenal. What's common? They went to the Panthers, and then they went to NFC West. Maybe Anthony Richardson doesn't go to the Panthers, but he goes to the NFC West. I don't think the Panthers helped him out at all. I don't think they did.
No, probably not. You could see him going to the Seahawks, maybe. I think that could be good for him. Having some real receivers to work with.
I could see that. The only issue I see with that is how good is McDonald gonna actually be with them?
Yeah.
So we are getting a call in. We didn't even announce that yet, but that's fine.
I mean, should we wait till later or should we take it now?
Yeah, it's fine. We can take it now.
All right, cool. Hello?
Hey, I got a question. This question's for Osprey because, he's a Rams fan and all stuff. This is about Cooper Kupp. My question was, give me a sec. I lost the call. Oh, my bad. Yeah. So, why do you think Cooper Kupp started the season strong but struggled in recent weeks? Is it because the defense?
Sorry, you cut out there. What'd you say?
Why did Cooper Kupp start the season strong but struggled in these last couple weeks?
So,
I had him in a fantasy and he's doing awful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
No, I got you. So, he started the season strong, I think, because Puka got injured week 1 against the Lions. So week 1 and week 2 he played strong, and then he got injured week 2, right? He came back, he had a few good games, and now he's been kind of on the decline the last 2 weeks. I think it's more of a Matthew Stafford issue than initially is a Cooper Kupp issue. Kupp's getting targets, but they're balls that are basically just being thrown to be incompletions because Stafford's
big time traffic.
Yeah, either A, under pressure, or B, he just doesn't have it's in the rain, the weather's bad, something like that. I know he played the 49ers, didn't have a good game. Then we played last week against the Cardinals, didn't have a good game. And I think that's just because if you look at Stafford, he's only really thrown 180 yards in the past 3 games. Every game he's only throwing 180. And I think that's why Cooper Kupp just isn't doing well, is because Puka is getting a lot of the easy receptions for yards.
So you're saying it's because of Stafford and not because the opposing defense is adjusting towards it?
Yeah, the opposing defenses can't adjust towards him.
Okay.
And that's because Cooper and Puka have one thing in common: they're great route runners. And if you try to cover too heavily on one, the other's bound to get open. So I don't think that opposing defenses are doing as much than it is Stafford's fault.
Okay. I got one last question. Is he a keep or drop in my fantasy?
No, he's a key to drop in your bench for right now, unless it's a dynasty league.
Okay.
If it's dynasty, then I would say drop him. He's 31. He's old.
Yeah, I think it's probably or trade him for a draft pick.
Or you probably get a good trade for him too. Honestly, somebody might take you on that trade, but I wouldn't say drop yet.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool. One call in done. So now, I forgot where we left off, but we talked about...
We were talking about...
the Colts-Giants, right?
Yeah,
so we finished
right.
the Colts-Giants, and then we got the call in.
Yeah.
But I did not talk about the Giants yet. So you mentioned them. The Giants, I already said something about them, they didn't want the first draft pick, etc. The GM needs to be fired. The owner needs to be replaced. Giants fans need to get some sort of, what do you want to call it, relief?
Yeah.
It's not going well. Have you seen that video on the Giants, the GM's kids telling him to draft Jane Daniels and put him on a top prospect?
Yeah.
That was hilarious, but his kids need to be the GM. That's my
take. No kidding.
But no, all jokes aside, they need some replacements in that front office. Mm-hmm. Jets lost to the Bills.
So it was a big loss as expected. The Jets, they at least put up 2 touchdowns. There's something to be said in that, but yeah, another ugly loss for the Jets. Another, a bit of a bigger win for the Bills. Thankfully, I don't want to see them collapse late season, and last game had me worried. But they're definitely still, like, Josh Allen's still in the MVP race. They're definitely still a deep playoff contender team.
For the Jets, I think I would be very surprised. I don't know if you would be. If Aaron Rodgers comes back. Like, he basically quit on the team in the second half. He was like, I just kind of benched myself because, we were down by, 40. I don't care. I'm just doing my own thing, but, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, the 49ers didn't let, I forgot his name.
Campbell.
Yeah, they didn't let Campbell do that,
Yeah, so I don't.
Should not tolerate that.
Yeah, I don't think A-Rod's coming back. For the Bills, pure dominance. That's what this is. This was just a dominant win over one of the better defenses in the NFL. The Titans lost to the Jags. It was a boring game. Do you really want to recap it this time?
I mean, I said that no Tony Pollard doesn't help, but I think the main problem is that Will Levis needs to come back.
Yes, Will Levis, the meme GOAT, needs to come back. Yep. I agree.
I want to see those mayonnaise commercials again.
Yeah. For the Jags, I mean, really? They won. You ruined your draft pick. You're still stuck with Doug Peterson.
Yep.
And everything is bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Giants, just slightly more worrisome.
Yep.
Saints lost to the Raiders. For the Saints, let me just preface this by saying your entire team is on IR, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah, it's not their fault. They're losing to the Raiders. It's not anyone's fault. I don't think they even needed to fire
Dennis Allen?
Yeah, Dennis Allen. Shoot, I was blanking on his name.
I disagree. Dennis Allen had to go.
I mean, it wasn't really his fault that literally everyone on his entire roster was injured.
For the past 3 seasons, he's been leading them to the middest of mid records.
But look at their first couple weeks before their entire roster was injured, and tell me that wasn't incredible.
Okay, so you're just going to take 2 weeks over the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like it came at a fair time. I think leave him around for one more season, give him a chance.
Even if it didn't come at a fair time, I guarantee you that what they have right now, their record would be worse than what it was 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
They have not gotten to the playoffs since Drew Brees and Sean Payton left. Dennis Allen took over the year after Drew Brees and Sean Payton left, right?
Yeah.
Since then, they have not made the playoffs. They have not managed to do anything in the NFC South. And really, it's just been the Bucs. Tom Brady was there, etc. The Falcons haven't made it. Yeah, it's just kind of been the Bucs ruling that division.
Yeah.
It's always been Bucs, Falcons, Saints, Panthers. Just in that order, usually. Mm-hmm. So I see where the firing came from, and I agree with the firing. This is 8 weeks ago or something like that? Yeah. But yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, but, he's fired now. The Saints season's over. Doesn't really matter. Their entire roster's out. Yeah,
for the Raiders, when Brock Bowers gets the ball, the Raiders tend to win.
And I'm going to keep throwing Jacoby Myers in there.
I keep harping on that every week. It's just get Brock Bowers the ball. And when you do, good things happen. So, I mean, it's a win-win. Yep. I get fantasy points, and Brock Bowers gets the ball. I'm happy. Panthers lose to the Bucs.
So, shoot, I have this one on a different page. Crap, I lost it.
Well, while he's finding his...
I don't even know if I wrote that one out.
The Panthers, they got blown out, okay? But Adam Thielen is surprisingly good.
Yeah, the Adam Thielen-Bryce Young connection was looking amazing. But at the same time, he's 34. I don't know if you count on him for next season. Chuba Hubbard, he's kind of old too, right? And he just came off a big injury.
I'll figure that out.
But anyway, it's clear they need some new offensive weapons. I love seeing Adam Thielen perform the way he's been performing, but he's not going to be doing that next year. So Bryce Young is continuing to show that he's a good quarterback, but he needs receivers bad.
Back to the Chuba Hubbard thing, he's only 25, so he's fine.
All right.
Now for the Bucs, do you think Baker Mayfield deserves a max/supermax contract at the end of this year?
I think he deserves a bigger contract than he's got at the moment. I don't think you need to go giving him any Trevor Lawrence level crap like that. But they definitely need to keep him around. He's been in and out, but so is Mike Evans. So yeah, I think keep him around.
it's not his contract year, but like I would love to see the guy get paid more than what he's actually making right now, because he's basically just said, I'm gonna put the team on my back, and then I'm gonna get all the points on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not a contract year for him, but he's been playing phenomenally this season. Cowboys lost to the Eagles.
Yeah, a pretty big loss. Even with Jalen Hurts out, the Eagles looked really amazing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that was where most of their points came from, especially considering they got easy field position from it. So, their defense is really going to help them out in the playoffs if Jalen Hurts isn't back to 100%. Saquon Barkley is lights out, amazing. But, we'll see. We'll see if he plays again next week and actually ends up getting that record. We'll talk about that more later. But, yeah, Cowboys, not much to say there.
Look, the Cowboys have been scored on by the first string, Jalen Hurts, the second string, Kenny Pickett, and the third string, a guy whose name I don't even remember. So, it's not been exactly all-in year for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
At all. I would love to see the NFL owners vote to get Jerry Jones replaced and to fire Mike McCarthy and perhaps the GM too while they're at it. But that's probably not going to happen knowing that they're America's team. So, for the Eagles, no Hurts equals no problem for right now because the defense is so good.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen in the playoffs, we don't know, but by then I think Jalen Hurts should
be back to 100%.
Browns lost to the Dolphins.
Another pretty ugly win for the Browns, or another pretty ugly loss for the Browns. So the Dolphins, theoretically still in playoff contention. Browns obviously needed a big rebuild. I think, even a multi-year project. Like, don't go all in or anything next year. Like, take it slow, draft a bunch of different players over the next couple of years.
Their defense is not bad. It's just their defense gets tired out because of how many times they're on the field when your offense scores exactly 3 points.
Yeah.
And whoever made the Dorian Thompson-Robinson deserves to be put in the game while Jameis Winston deserves to be benched decision needs to be fired, now. Or,
Unless they were just planning to tank the rest of the season.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what are you going to do by tanking? Because, you've won 3 games, right? Mm-hmm. But you've beat the 3 teams that are going to be ahead of you.
Yeah,
and
by
the time you get to your draft pick, what you need is a quarterback. You're not getting a quarterback.
Yeah.
If you decide to keep Deshaun Watson, then your GM needs to be fired.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose situation for the Browns in which we're not starting Jameis, but at the same time we're stuck with this Thompson-Robinson guy. And when Watson comes back, he's not the solution either. And it's just an entire convoluted mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Browns. They're a dumpster fire.
Yep.
Like always. For the Dolphins, they're alive. But
barely.
Are they playoff worthy?
Barely. I think it all depends on if Tua plays next week, but I'm pretty sure they said he's doubtful. So I think they're out of playoff contention.
Yeah, they might be out of playoff contention. But in this game, no Tua equal no problem. But yeah. Really,
the Jets' defense will be a lot more intimidating is the thing.
Yeah, and really, the Jets' offense, albeit it's washed up Aaron Rodgers, it's still, capable of putting 40 on your head. It's just
capable.
If Aaron Rodgers decides to play, good for once, then they can. Packers lost to the Vikings.
It was a close one, but at the same time, if you were watching it, you look at the score, it looks really close. But same as last time we played the Packers, if you were watching it, it was pretty obvious it was going to be a Vikings win the whole time. We got ahead really early, and like always, our defense let up some big points in the second half. But they got turnovers when we needed them, and our offense kept the ball in our hands and kept scoring. So, yeah, in the end, it was a pretty good game for the Vikings, I'd say. The Packers, I'm going to continue saying this. They're the most overrated team in the NFL. They're playing so slow in the first 3 quarters continually. They, like you said earlier, they have no receiver one, and that's becoming a really big problem when anyone isn't having an amazing game. Like Christian Watson was out, and it was all Romeo Doubs, a little bit of their tight end here and there, Kraft or whatever. But yeah, way too slow offensively. Yeah.
Look, the defense did its job. It held the Vikings scoreless in the first quarter and the fourth quarter. Second and third quarters were a different story. They scored 27 points, of course. But in the first and fourth quarter, the Packers scored in the fourth. They didn't score a lot in the first. They scored like 3 points in the first.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the difference is if your defense is good enough to hold somebody scoreless for a quarter or 2 quarters, you have to be able to take advantage of it then. And when you take advantage of it then, it's going to put pressure back on the other team. So let's say in the first quarter, Packers score like, let's just say 10 points or, 13 points, something like that, something in that area. Then the pressure's on the Vikings that, now we have to come back.
Yeah.
The Vikings score 27, it's 13-27. You still had an end game, whatever you want to call it, and it would have been 28-27, the Packers win. But yeah, it's just the offensive issues. If the offense starts to click, then I can see the Packers making a deep playoff run. Otherwise, I'm guessing divisional, or it's just going to be wild carded out.
Mm-hmm.
For the Vikings, it was an endgame scare, like you said, but they survived.
Yep.
Week 18 is going to be, I think, the best game of the year.
Yeah, definitely the biggest test for the Vikings, too, because we made it close last time, and everyone's been saying all season, the Vikings aren't real. If we can beat the Lions Week 18, there's a good chance we're Super Bowl contenders. So, yeah, I mean, if we lose, we're definitely still deep playoff contenders, but this is definitely our biggest test.
Yeah. Moving on to Falcons Commanders.
So, the Bijan Robinson carried the Falcons all the way to overtime pretty much. Michael Penix did nothing. I mean, his numbers weren't horrible, but he choked in overtime when they needed him to do something. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see if they keep him around for next year, keep him starting for next year, which they probably will. I guess we'll see once he gets more playing time if he develops. But at the moment, Bijan Robinson is pretty much their only saving grace.
Yeah, the Falcons lost in the most Falcons way of all time. Okay?
Yeah.
They lost the game that at one point was in the bag. Cough, cough, 28-3 again. Raheem Morris seems to be another Matt Eberflus situation. He's a decent coach. It's just, or I should say this, he's better than Matt Eberflus, okay, by a lot. But time clock management is an issue. You could fire him, okay? I won't say that's out of the question. For a first-year coach, he's not too bad, especially because he's working with a washed-up Kirk Cousins for most of the season. Mm-hmm. But really, his strength is defense. He was a defensive coordinator for the Rams before he became a head coach for the Falcons. I think that the Falcons' defense has not been playing well at all, right?
Especially not in this game, yeah.
Yeah. I think that the Falcons need to draft a pretty decent defense soon. Mm-hmm. The offense is fine, but they need to get a really good OC.
Yep.
And if they do both of those things, I think they'll be ready for playoffs maybe next year.
Yeah.
For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, I think, has cemented his Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign.
Yeah.
This game perfectly sums up what he is. Some turnovers here and there, but for the most part, clutch.
I think it helped that he had a lot of time in the pocket. I'm not sure what happened with the Falcons' defense, but he had way too much time in the pocket, so that definitely helped. But, yeah, he looked fantastic.
The Commanders, I'm going to give a formal thank you to them. Y'all punched the ticket for the Rams. We didn't have to rely on the 49ers, which leads perfectly to the 49ers versus Lions.
Yep, 49ers, Lions. The Lions, I expected them to rest their starters more than they did, but they kind of went 100%. And
what are you, dumb?
Dude, they didn't need to win this game if they play.
Have you seen Dan Campbell?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, though.
Have you seen
that's
what he's done in the playoffs?
He's never going to.
Going for two repeatedly,
he's
no
never
matter
gonna
the
slow down.
situation. He was not letting the loss of the 49ers in the NFC Championship slide.
I hoped I hoped that he would not be, like, after such an injury-ridden season, I would hope that he'd be a little bit more careful with the few good players he has left, but
he doesn't care.
He does not care. But
he's like a perfect example of what I have all the balls in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, the 49ers, they proved they had juice left.
Yeah.
It's just now, can they regroup next season, be healthy, maybe make a good campaign? Because, I mean, if this is the type of team we get next year, that'll be good enough to beat basically any team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you have Christian McCaffrey maybe back, they definitely can be playoff bound next year.
For the Lions, they got away with some things. Like the sack, they got Purdy injured. There was a clear face mask there. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
There were some calls here and there that I was like, maybe not. But, yeah, Week 18 for the Vikings is going to be one heck of a game. I cannot wait to watch it.
Yeah.
Now for our picks and predictions for this week, Week 18. So, Game 1 is not on TNF, actually. It's not. There is no Thursday night game this week.
Oh,
Amazon's probably crying in a corner. But
I mean, with how bad the Thursday night games have been this year.
Yeah, thank God, right? It's on actually Saturday, which I don't know why they're encroaching on college football, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
Saturday, January 4th. First game is going to be Browns-Ravens.
I got Ravens. The Browns can't do anything without Jameis Winston. We've already said it enough. Yeah, blowout.
Yeah, I agree with Ravens. If Jameis was starting, I'd say that he'd do the same thing he did back when he first started against the Ravens.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's not playing. 8 o'clock. That's a good game. Bengals-Steelers.
Yeah, so this should be an interesting one. A bit of an easier defense for Russell Wilson. I see the Steelers winning this one. I really want them to win this one because I don't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. But, yeah, it could go either way.
Give me the Bengals. I just want to see Joe Burrow win MVP.
Yeah.
Best chance of that is Bengals making the playoffs. It probably won't happen, but I just want to see his name be anywhere not plus 600 or plus 1,600 odds. So, yeah. Sunday, Panthers-Falcons.
Give me the Panthers. Give me the Panthers all the way. That Bryce Young, Adam Thielen connection is really doing good right now, and with how ugly the Falcons' defenses look great lately, they can definitely win that. And yeah, Michael Penix not looking good.
Yeah. Good news about Penix is he can throw bullets. It's just bad news is it's not helpful to anybody.
Yeah.
The Panthers, yeah, like you were saying, Bryce Young connection to Adam Thielen, great. I would like to see what the Panthers defense is able to do against the Falcons. Pretty good offense. Mm-hmm. I know it's Week 18. It's like, why do you care? But I just want to see what happens. Mm-hmm. Give me the Panthers, though.
Yeah.
Commanders, Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, this one doesn't need much explanation. Commanders.
Now, here's the thing. I think the Commanders are resting their starters, which is why I give me the Cowboys.
Oh, shoot. I didn't realize they were doing
that. But, yeah, I could see where you're going. If this was like a regular game, I would probably say the Commanders.
Yeah.
Bears, Packers.
I'm guessing the Packers are going to be resting some stars. They already lost getting the 5 seed to the Commanders. So, they're going to be 6 seed most likely. I think they probably rest starters, so I could see the Bears winning that.
Give me the Packers. The Packers on the Bears. Jaguars, Colts.
I mean, probably the Colts. Probably. I mean, they made it decently close last game. So they should probably win this one.
After what happened with the Giants, I really don't know what's going to happen in this game.
Yeah, it could go either way.
But I'm going to pick the Jaguars to just do what the Giants did.
Yeah.
Bills, Patriots.
So, again, this one will be close like it was last time, but I think the Bills can squeeze out a pretty close win. I mean, if their defense can hold Ramondre Stevenson to the small amount of rushes he's gotten lately, that'll definitely help because there's no receivers. But
yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bills. I think the defense is not gonna have anybody be benched, most likely because, I mean, it's a mid defense, but yeah. I think Drake May without any weapons isn't really scary. Giants, Eagles.
I mean, it all depends, and we'll be talking about this more in a minute. It all depends on whether the Eagles start Saquon Barkley and bother to give him those extra 100 yards.
I think they're going to, just because it's a perfect storyline. It's like It's almost scripted.
Yeah, almost.
It's like Saquon leaves, rushes 2,000 yards, he can break the record
on the Giants. Yeah, that would be perfect.
That would be like the climax of a script.
But if they for some reason don't start Saquon, the Giants might win it.
Yeah, agreed. Saints Bucks. So the Bucks and the Falcons are actually still dueling it out for the NFC South. If the Bucks lose and the Falcons win, the Falcons get it. If the Falcons lose, the Bucks basically auto get it.
Yeah.
So I'm picking the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are gonna. Yeah, like you said, they're really gonna chase that win. And Mike Evans was real hot last week, so I think they can get it.
Do you think he's getting 1,000 yards?
I mean, I can't remember how far he is away.
I think he's only 85 yards away.
Yeah, so he's definitely getting it.
Yeah. Baker said he was gonna make sure Evans got it. Or he said something along those lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can totally see Evans getting it. Texans Titans.
I mean, I'm not sure if Tony Pollard is coming back, but the Titans' offense looks really bad right now. But at the same time, the Texans are such a dumpster fire. I think I'm gonna take the Titans.
I'm gonna take the Texans specifically because I think Davis Mills is about to have a career game, especially because he's like, oh, y'all bestie for Stroud. Stroud sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna become good again, type thing. 49ers Cardinals. This is actually gonna be a good game, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray's been playing really well lately. It's just been the turnovers. So I think if you can limit those, I think the Cardinals win this one.
Kyler Murray in the last few games, ever since the next Call of Duty came out, or the next update for Call of Duty came out, has thrown 8 touchdowns and, or what, 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, something like that, in that area. Give me the 49ers, especially after that close game that they had. Chiefs Broncos.
So, the Chiefs will probably be resting starters for this one. And the Broncos almost definitely won't be since they're still chasing that playoff spot. So, give me the Broncos for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Say the Broncos. I want Carson Wentz to have a legacy game, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Seahawks Rams. Thank God this game does not matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are you guys planning to rest any starters?
Yeah, we're starting Jimmy G over Matthew Stafford.
Oh, right.
That's
yeah,
enough
that's right.
Evidence that we're pitching starters.
I think even with that, though, you're still going to beat them. The Seahawks are so bad.
The Seahawks will win because their defense is very good, but it hurts to be against my own team, but when we're resting starters, I can see the Seahawks beating us. Chargers Raiders.
I mean, do you know if the Chargers are planning to sit Justin Herbert?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay. I think the Raiders might win it. I mean, the Chargers defense is still really, really good, but yeah, I think the Raiders might win this one.
I think the Raiders have it because the Chargers will, like, literally every other team bench their starters.
Yeah.
I could see the Raiders pulling it out. Dolphins Jets. The outcome to this game, I think, is largely determined on whether the Broncos get the playoff spot or not. Mm-hmm. But because the NFL decided to put them both at 425, I'm going to pick the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on whether Tua plays because I don't see him with a backup quarterback taking on the Jets defense that well. But probably the Dolphins.
Yeah. Prime time. You can already guess who it is.
Game of the week, baby.
Vikings-Lions.
Give me them Vikings.
I'll just pick the Vikings.
I mean, last time we played the Lions, T.J. Hawkinson was either he wasn't back yet or he still wasn't at 100%, and he's our third down man, so we totally can win this game.
Yeah, the Lions without Aiden Hutchinson, I can see y'all beating them, but here's the thing. If it comes down to a clutch moment by the Lions, I'm picking the Vikings because I don't trust Jared Goff whatsoever. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
The Lions' defense basically features Kirby Joseph and a bunch of NPCs.
Yeah.
So I could totally see Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson or T.J. Hawkinson getting like crazy targets.
Or all three.
Crazy. Or all three just having a crazy game. So yeah, give me the Vikings. The Lions, with all their hook and ladder and all these different trick plays they're running, it's all fun and games until they don't work.
Yeah.
And when they don't work, Jared Goff is going to be a choker. Mark my words. I'm saying it again. He's going to choke. You just mark my words. But I digress.
Is there no Monday night?
No.
Oh, okay, nice.
There's also no Monday night, which basically means that I'm going to be sitting on my couch watching like 9 games on like 3 different devices so that I can watch everything that's happening. So now for the call-ins, I'll go ahead and dump Levi's number in the chat as soon as I can pull up the YouTube. You had a good Christmas, Levi?
I did, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Where'd you go?
St. Louis, home of the Rams.
Oh, he went to St. Louis. Yes, sir. St. Louis, baby. A Rams fan over there.
If they were still in St. Louis, I'd probably be a Rams fan. 1766. No, 705, 1766.
Okay. I don't know how I forgot your number.
Yeah.
There you go. It's in the chat. If you want to call in, please do. In the meantime, we'll move on to our takes of the week. So, first off, head coaches and GMs, their hot seats. So, from the teams, I'm just going to list out some teams. Who do you think is going to get fired? And these are literally all like the bottom top 10 teams.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't really matter. Jaguars.
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, you know, a large part of their collapse this season has been Trevor Lawrence. That's true. But he's been a really bad coach for a really long time, specifically the coach. So, yeah, I think he gets the X.
Okay. Jets.
I mean, they're in an interim coach.
Yeah,
so.
they already fired Saleh.
Yeah.
You think they're going to fire their GM?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the head coach was the scapegoat on that one. I think now that they did that, they're gonna be like, yeah, it was his fault. We got him out of here.
Everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers is the problem.
Yeah.
The Jets will refuse to admit that because, you know, they gave Rodgers literally everything he needed to succeed. Yeah. But everybody knows it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Patriots.
No. I think the Drake May pick was really good pick. I think, I definitely think he shouldn't. I don't know if he will, but yeah, I don't think he should. He needs more time to rebuild.
Yeah, Gerard Mayo, I mean, he's been given basically decent defense, terrible offense. Yeah. And 3-13 kind of shows that. Yeah. Defense wins championships, but offense wins you games before you get to the championship. And yeah, this kind of shows that. Raiders.
They're still on like Antonio Pierce, right?
Yes.
So I mean, he's technically. I don't know if they've labeled him as an interim coach still. He was last year, but
I mean, he was last year. But I think once you fire your head coach, and it's been like a year since then, it turns into you're now the permanent head coach.
Yeah, I think him letting Devontae Adams go was probably.
Well, I mean, it's not his fault. Yeah, he made that decision, but I think it's a smart decision considering that Devontae wasn't happy. Yeah. And B, I mean, the season for them at that point was like basically over. They knew they weren't making the playoffs. I think it's a smart decision getting some picks and just, hopefully rolling onwards with it.
Yeah, and getting more cap space. I think they just need time to rebuild.
Browns? Stefanski, I don't think deserves to be fired.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it's the GM who
deserves to be fired. For you should not have ever been giving
Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson so much money. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Jaguars. Yeah. Titans.
I mean, I think so. He's deciding now. Oh yeah, Will Levis is my quarterback. Building the offense around him. Trading for people like L'Jarius Sneed, or might have been a free agent pickup. But anyway, like making all these like win now moves with all their old receivers they're picking up, and then it's just a train wreck. I think he definitely needs to get the axe.
Now in the NFC, the Giants. Dable will not be fired.
Yeah.
He's a great coach. It's just he's been given the worst receiving core, except Neighbors. Yeah. And like one of the worst defenses. The GM.
Probably for letting Saquon go.
Yeah. I wouldn't say probably. I would say his seat is so hot that it's hotter than volcano. Yeah. 49ers, I mean, I don't think that head coach is going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, he got him the Super Bowl last year, probably not.
But I don't even think there's GMs getting X. I think for the entire NFC West, they're all still like within like 4 games. Not a lot, but still. nobody in their division is like so bad where they're like to the point where you're like, oh yeah, everything needs to be changed here. It's just you make some minor tweaks on certain teams and they're just basically fine.
Yeah.
NFC North though, the Bears.
I mean, already went and fired the head coach. I think they just need to find a new coach and rebuild as fast as possible.
I think the GM doesn't get the axe because of the phenomenal job he did just getting, Keenan Allen. He looks phenomenal. Getting your next budding wide receiver, Romo Dunze, to learn under Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And then, of course, getting DJ Moore last year from the Panthers, along with the defensive fixings that they've had. I think that the Bears are in a solid position. They just need that one good coach to tie them all back together.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers and Saints, Saints already fired their head coach.
Yep.
The GM for the Saints isn't bad. It's just their entire team's on IR.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers,
I think the coach should stay.
Canales is good.
Yeah.
He's a good coach. And I think that the owner will realize that, specifically because Bryce Young has been playing at such a high level recently.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's mostly due to Canales.
For sure.
But now to the GM, he fleeced the Jonathan Mingo trade. Good job.
Yeah.
You got Adam Thielen. I feel like the Panthers are also in that same Bears-esque boat. They have a good offense, kind of. They just need some wide receivers. Mm-hmm. They have the worst defense. So, not the Bears. I should say they're in the Patriots boat. Bad offense, worst defense in the Patriots. They just need to somehow elevate that defense.
Yeah.
And then get the coach. And, they already have the coach. Mm-hmm. Get wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they have hope in a young quarterback for both of them.
I think that's fair. So, who deserves a bag? By bag, we mean good contract, i.e. free agents.
Sam Darnold, and, we said this earlier, Baker Mayfield, he's not hitting free agency, but he deserves more than he's getting. But definitely Sam Darnold. I hope he's not going to be, dumb enough to think he can hit free agency and find a good deal somewhere else. I think he knows that the Vikings are the reason he's been playing so well. So I'm sure the Vikings will pay him fairly. And hopefully he'll stay on our team. Yeah,
look. So Jamar Chase for sure. Okay, I think he definitely deserves it. Brandon Ayuk and Nico Collins. Their contracts are, I think. Ayuk has had a regressed year. He had a terrible year. Mm-hmm. Collins, he's having a great year.
Yeah, I think he should go to someone else other than the Texans, and I think he can get some good money there.
Yeah, you already said Sam Darnold, right? I'm gonna say T. Higgins too. Higgins is having a phenomenal year, especially after
the last couple games.
The last couple games have been outstanding. Y'all have an offensive lineman named
Cam Robinson. He's like 32, I think. I think he just needs to retire or get a cheap deal.
Yeah, and then the Saints have Chase Young. Pass rushers, they're very good. Mm-hmm. But I think that he's going to get not a huge bag. He'll get a bag. But I don't think that he's going to be the next what we thought he was going to be coming out. But I could for sure see him either A, leaving the Saints, or B, deciding to stay with the Saints and getting a decent deal.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find more players because...
Oh, Max Crosby's hitting free agency?
No, it's just vented his frustration.
I see.
Yeah. This isn't about a bag, but I just found this is kind of funny. So this says... For the Just Cut Deshaun Now crowd, okay? The 2024 dead cap would be $119,940,678, and that's $93.2 million cash. The 2025 dead cap would be $80.77 million. For the Cut Deshaun After 2024 crowd, the 2025 dead cap then would be $118 million. And the 2026 would be $53.835 million. Yeah, I'm just not going to keep reading this because the numbers just keep getting a little bit lower, but they're still in the 100 million range, which is dumb because, Deshaun has been playing on a QBR of 2. So, just saying, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. You done with the? You think,
yeah. I can't find more players. I should have done that beforehand.
All right. I think a big topic right now, it's all over the place, is whether Saquon Barkley should start. Because it's 100 more yards. Like, it's not much. He doesn't have to play the whole game. I think he should, but at the same time, I don't know if he's going to necessarily want to. He's a pretty selfless player. I don't think that he cares that much about the record and, beating the record. I think he cares about his team a lot more than that. And if his coach is saying, yeah, I want you to sit, he's definitely going to sit.
Yeah. I don't think his coach is. I think Sirianni's going to be like, well, let's go with that record.
Yeah, let's get that record.
But I don't want him to, specifically because Eric Dickerson, he's a Rams legend.
Yeah.
2,105 yards. I know Barkley's only 101 off from just breaking it completely. But, yeah, I would love to see Dickerson's record be intact. Of course, Saquon breaks, I'm not going to be mad, but it's just like, come on, he's a Rams legend.
Yeah.
I'm going to support him. Next take, fantasy redrafts. So who were some players that you drafted pretty high that you, looking back on it, you were like, one of drafting them this high? Or some players that you drafted low or were like waiver wire pickers that you've been like, yeah, I would have drafted these people like higher if I could have.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley was definitely a good pick, obviously. But that's like a high pick. For a lower pick, I mean, I got JSN really, really low, and he was one of my top fantasy receivers. So he's definitely a redraft. We'll see about Marvin Harrison. We'll see if he actually. I got him pretty low. We'll see if he.
I saw some people taking MHJ in like the third, fourth round, and I was like, you do realize Kyler Murray's bad once COD comes out, right? The next update, but like, come on now. Who's a waiver wire picker that you thought was like phenomenal?
Well, I mean, I got Sam Darnold like week 6, and the rest of the season he was just insane.
So you got really lucky there.
Yeah.
So for me, a high player I would have picked low would have been Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a disappointment for me. Like, I expected him to be like the next big thing in the Jets offense, especially with like, he has Aaron Rodgers. Garrett Wilson's going to be producing at a high level too. Yeah, safe to say I got screwed there. He was my, 1.06 pick, I think?
Dang.
6th pick I had. All the other good running backs were gone. And I don't select wide receivers round 1. I usually select them after that. But yeah, that was sad. A low pick that I actually really liked was George Kittle. I got him like 7th or 8th round, I think.
Oh, dang.
He was phenomenal for the entire season. I wasn't even like scared for a second that he's gonna do bad. He's just consistently over 10 points for the most part.
Yeah.
Waiver wires, I actually have like 4 or 5 waiver wire pickers that were like great. Baker, I picked him up like week 4, week 5 because I drafted Mahomes and I got screwed by that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he really helped. Jerry Jeudy towards the end of the season when Jameis came on board really helped.
Chuba Hubbard was one that helped me. I just thought of that. I got him like free agency really late in the season.
Yeah, I can totally see that one.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin, I think somebody had him, but then like week 2, week 3, they dropped him because he just wasn't producing. I picked him up, and he was also very helpful until last week where I only had a reception for 5 yards. Those 3 for sure. Brock Bowers, he got dropped, and I picked him up, and he was one heck of a pick. Those are all players I think that I would have selected in the draft had I known they were going to be as good as they are. But hey, that's the point of fantasy.
Yeah.
You sometimes get good, you sometimes get bad. Just depends.
Yeah.
For your power rankings now.
Yeah, guess who I got at number 1, baby? Minnesota Vikings. Yep, number 2, I got the Chiefs since they finally got a more than 1 score win, and they're looking really, really good. Lions at 3, Bills at 4, and Ravens at 5. I don't like Ravens at 5, but it's got to be a top 5 at least. Yeah,
it makes sense. For me, we'll go back to the hate life right now kind of scheme that I had. So the biggest riser this week, I think, was the Bengals.
Definitely.
The biggest faller, the Steelers. and the Falcons. So, if you hate life right now, you're a Brown, bench Jameis, come on. You're a Titan, bench Will Levis, come on. You're a Cowboy, you definitely went all in.
How about them Cowboys?
You're a Jaguar, Doug Peterson still has not been fired. You're a Panther, just a defense.
Yeah.
You're a Raider, again, just a defense. You're a Patriot, give Drake May weapons. And you're a Giant, you can't even tank correctly? Come on, dude.
Yeah.
If you're in between hating life and your future looking bright, you're a Saint. Come on, IR. Yeah, it sucks. I know. Falcons. Apart from the fact that Raheem Morris sold y'all a game, and you have Kyle Pitts sitting, just not doing a lot really.
You're not even targeting him, yeah.
You have Michael Penix with his rocket arm.
And you spent all your money on Kirk Cousins.
And your defense is looking like Swiss cheese. Yeah, I think it's safe to say you're like in between there.
Yeah.
If not hating life. And you're a Jet because Aaron Rodgers did his dark magic. If your future looks bright, you're a Colt, you're a Bear, and you're a Dolphin. Colt because, well, Anthony Richardson looks good, then doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco looks good, then doesn't look good. Your defense looks good, then doesn't look good. It's like everything is just like a 50-50 shot with y'all.
Yeah.
The Bears, let's see. Eberflus got fired, good, but literally everything from there just went downhill.
Yeah, you just need a new head coach.
Yeah, and get Caleb Williams a little bit of protection. If you're a Dolphin, I mean, really, just cold issues, and you get to this point where you're like really good, and then you decide to have the worst game of all time, and then you become really good again, and then you're just kind of in that 50-50 zone with the Colts. If you're in the playoff hunt, you're a Bengal. Your defense sold y'all like 97% of the season. The remaining 3% they haven't sold y'all in, it's looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. If you're a playoff wild card, you're a Commander, mainly just because of the defensive question marks that there are. You're a Charger because of the offensive question marks. You're a Ram because your offense doesn't wake up. Come on, man. And your defense decides to play phenomenally.
Yeah. And
you're a Steeler because y'all are not welding. See this country. Let's weld. In between wild card and Super Bowl contenders, you're a Packer.
Oh, come on. They got to be lower than that.
Well, okay, here's the reason why I put them lower. It's because their defense still did their job.
Yeah, that's fair.
And even though the score wasn't technically close by any means, it was still kind of close of a game.
Yeah.
I mean, they got outclassed. They got outclassed. But it makes sense. And this is, I should say, these aren't like particularly structured, but for this one, just imagine the Packers being like at the bottom of the in-between wild card and Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
You're a Raven because your defense has issues in it still. You're a Viking
Super Bowl contenders, man.
Because you need to prove that you can beat the Lions.
Yeah, and Will Riker just got to stop missing easy field goals, man. What?
You're a Bronco because your team managed to somehow collapse with despite getting like 3 shots in overtime, and because Sean Payton doesn't know what he's doing. You're a Buck because I decided that I like Baker Mayfield a lot. I'm kidding. You're a Buck specifically because Baker Mayfield puts you on your back. You're a Lion because of the defensive injuries that they've had. And you're an Eagle because there's no Jalen Hurts currently. If you're a Super Bowl contender, you're the Chiefs because the refs rig every game. You'll have some sort of double magic, etc., etc., etc. You're a Bill because Josh Allen decides to put you on his back, and your defense can step up and play at a high level, as they have proven. And the winner of the Vikings-Lions game is in there because, yeah. The Lions because they've proven that the secondary can hold even through all the injuries. The Vikings because they proved they can beat the Lions. So, yeah. That's our list. It looks like we have no more Collins, so...
Yeah, and we've already gone pretty long.
Yeah, and we've already gotten like an hour, 20 minutes or whatever. But yeah, that's because we missed last week. So thank you all for watching this podcast. It means a lot.
Yeah.
We hope you had a great Christmas, and we also hope that you have a very, very happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, and we'll see you later.